For a kid to say, gosh, this guy's a race car driver. That's so cool. What could I be? And it sets such a high ceiling, and that's what we need to do to inspire young people, I think.
Welcome to Alt Investing Made Easy, where we explore the complex world of alternative assets. I'm Roland, a securities attorney, investment advisor, and your co-host.
And I'm Sarah, an investment advisor and corporate attorney, and your other co-host. We'll guide you through real estate, private equity, and more, making complex topics accessible.
Tune in for insights that empower your financial journey.
Let's make alt investing easy, one episode at a time.
Welcome, everyone, to Alt Investing Made Easy. Today, we have an exciting guest, Ryan Shehan of Ryan Shehan Racing, and his father, Doug.shehan, are here to join us to tell us about their company, RBS Motorsports, through which they market and otherwise promote the racing career of Ryan and also provide other services. So today we're excited to bring this, and we want you to take away from this that there are different kinds of alternative investments that can be made, for example, into this kind of a company, which is actually, an operating company. So, Roland, you want to introduce Doug and Ryan?
Yeah, for sure. Welcome to Alt Investing Made Easy, Ryan and Doug.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Well, we are really excited to be here with you all today. We focused a lot on commercial real estate, which is a little stodgy and conservative, very low risk. But as everybody knows, one of our goals through this podcast is to help our law firm clients sell their private securities deals, and you all are our law firm clients, and we have an offering to talk about today of an investment opportunity. And it's an investment opportunity in what could be referred to as a motorsports racing team, but we've been talking over the last couple of days about distinguishing that between a racing team and a marketing company. And I want us to talk more about that, because part of the obligation in any securities offering is to disclose all the material factors so that people can make a good investment decision. And we would never want to mislead anybody or misrepresent anything. But this is, for lack of a better term, I'd written about it before, like a minor league racing team. It really is that's what Ryan's goal is, to race in F1 someday. And to do that, you have to start out with the lower levels, and then you advance through those and then eventually get promoted. And so we're talking about racing at some of the levels below F1, and we're going to hear more about that. But we try to give this disclaimer regularly, and this is an advertising platform. We're trying to make the public aware of these investment opportunities, but we can't make a specific recommendation unless you're a client of Real Advisors, the investment advisor. Sarah and I are both practicing attorneys, so we can answer any questions that you have about an investment in RBS Motorsports or any of the other topics that we talk about on this podcast. But, we want to make the world aware of this investment opportunity in RBS Motorsports. And while we can't make a specific recommendation, without you being our client, we can for sure speak to the integrity of Doug and Ryan and their team, the success that they've had, and we believe in them, and we believe that this would be if it fits your risk profile, then it could be a good opportunity for you to invest in something that would be really fun and interesting. Okay, well, I'm going to turn it over to you, Sarah, with starting out with the questions.
All right. So first of all, Ryan, we were chatting before, so it's nice to get a chance to know you a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, including where you grew up and maybe some of what got you involved in racing in the first place?
Yeah, well, I was born and raised in Austin, Texas. So I think you can kind of assume where I got the racing bug from if you know anything about Austin. My parents took me out to Circuit of the Americas pretty soon after it was built. I think it was 8 years old. And, as an 8-year-old going out to something like that, you you're hooked instantly. I caught the bug. My parents made the mistake of, they kept taking me out there, taking the family out there. And I'm sure it was no surprise when I walked into my dad's office and said, I wanted to be a race car driver. So he said, go do some research. Don't come back in 2 hours. Should take you a few days. So I did what everybody does nowadays, and I Googled it and found that go-karting was the start of, how most race car drivers start. So told my dad, let's go go-karting. And started that when I was 9, and did that for a few years. And now we're in full-size cars racing around the world.
That's really cool. I know there's a lot more to that story, but maybe we'll get to that after we talk about some other details about your company and kind of the investment opportunity that we have at hand today. So, but I guess one more question for you, which is, as you've said, and as we'll get into in more detail, you're very involved with your mom and dad are very involved in promoting you and your company. And I think that's wonderful because, there's no reason young people can't understand all of these things. But like with many things, you need a bit of mentoring, and everybody needs that. So what's it like to work with your mom and dad?
It's nice. I think it helps keep us honest because we're not afraid to, to call each other out on something. Maybe if it was not a family member, you might hesitate, you don't want to hurt their feelings or you don't want to, insult them. But, if I do something that they think is, not the right move, then they'll call me out on it and I'll do the same. So I think we all have an added layer of respect for each other in that regard, and that, we're not going to, be offended if someone says something's a bad idea, which I think is nice. And obviously it's brought us closer together as a family since we're maybe with each other a bit more. But yeah, I think it's really nice to work with each other, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I see your dad smiling over there. I think you just made him feel good.
Well, yeah, the thing that just struck me about getting to know you all is that there's a real mutual respect that's present, and it really inspires me for you, Doug and Stephanie, to have enabled your son's dreams like this, and it requires responsibility on both sides of the equation. And Ryan, you've really stepped up. And before we get into hearing about your performance over the past couple of seasons and what the outlook looks like going forward, you all have an announcement that you want to make about our RBS Motorsports.
That's right. As of March 1st, Ryan will be the CEO of Ryan.shehan Racing, RBS Motorsports. He has been involved at every level, in every conversation, every meeting. As you know, Roland, he was in every one of our meetings as we put together the SAFE, the investment vehicle, and he's done that in marketing, sales, you name it. We have some tremendous people that have been involved with us in working with Ryan. So we feel like he needs to be the face of the organization, is the face of the organization, and he's ready. Of course, any CEO needs good people supporting them and working with them, and he will remain. Those people will remain with us, and we'll be driving the organization with Ryan. So we're very excited to make that announcement on this podcast.
That's great. Congratulations, Ryan.
Yeah.
It's well deserved.
Thank you.
And I know, you've already shown terrific leadership, just like your dad said, and I know you'll continue to do that.
Appreciate it.
So I think one of our goals at Alt Investing Made Easy is to help our law firm clients sell your private securities in your investment opportunities. So RBS Motorsports has a current Rule 506C offering open, and we want to talk more in detail about both the offering and what RBS Motorsports does and what you would be investing in. So we have some information that you've provided us about your budget and quite a level of detail that will be very good to go into. Shall we jump straight into that?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Ryan, are you going to be, you want to take us through what your focus will be for 2025 as a company, and I guess also inherently in that is you as a driver?
Yeah, I think 2025 is a year of growth. Obviously, we just announced that I'll become CEO, so that's already a pretty big change. But yeah, I think we just want to, we've grown every year. We want to keep moving up. And yeah, I think racing side and business side, because there's no business without the racing and no racing without the business. So I think it's important that you have to evolve both sides simultaneously, and if you can't do that, then it's difficult to go on. So I think 2025 should be a great year, and I'm hoping that we can build some momentum to continue that rise up.
Well, something that struck me, I think it was maybe in some of the email communications we had in preparation for this recording, and that had to do with the differences between your situation and some other situations for famous drivers that we learn about when a driver's maybe a bit older to where you are. So what I think is really interesting and what I would like our audience to understand more about is that you have started building the company around yourself as a driver as you're developing as a driver. That's not necessarily the natural kind of way that it goes for other of the famous drivers that are sort of common household names out there that perhaps we'll see you as also one day. So can you talk us through a little bit about what you're doing with RBS Motorsports and how that there's you as a driver and your personal development, and we want to hear more about that, but also the business, you're actually developing your business right alongside yourself instead of later once you've already met some of the milestones. And there's, the earlier you start on a business usually is a good idea. So I'd like to hear more specifically about the business side, and maybe Doug, if you have something you want to talk about, since probably you were instrumental in making sure that was happening simultaneously with your son's development.
Sure, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I mean, at the end of 2020, we were kind of expecting to do another year of go-karting, but I was given the opportunity to do a test or a practice session in a Formula 4 car, and I guess I did something right because they offered me a contract after that. So all of a sudden we were, at the end of 2020 looking at doing Formula 4 racing in 2021, which wasn't what we were expecting at all. And so that was kind of when we decided, we need to start building this business, because if everything goes right, then we're going to be climbing up, fairly quickly, and the numbers are going to start getting very big very quickly. And so we need to start building this now so that we're not, caught, kind of unexpected with a big unexpected number, a few years down the line. And so 2021 was when we really started to build RBS Motorsports and Ryan.shehan Racing, because we knew that, if we don't start now, it's going to get out of hand really quickly.
And your performance is sort of measured season over season. So maybe take us through up to the present, how things have gone for you over the past few seasons, what happened after that test in the F4 car.
Yeah. And 2021 was my first year in the F4 car. And, I'll be the first to admit that the rookie year is always hard. That was a tough year, a big learning curve. But, kind of at the end of the year after the season, I think, something just clicked, because we kind of hit the ground running in 2022. And it's pretty much just been an upward curve since there. I got my first race win in 2022. And then in 2023 and 2024, finishing in the top two in Formula Regional, which is the regional Formula 3 here in the US, and the next step above Formula 4. And so I think, I guess something just clicked at the end of 21, and it's been an upward curve since then.
I think there's some other milestones you want to tell us about. I think you have some other qualifications that you achieved that are really important for going forward in Europe.
Well, yeah, I mean, a couple of different things internationally. I raced in New Zealand in 2023. We got to do the prestigious it used to be the prestigious Toyota Racing Series, which then got renamed to Formula Regional Oceania. But, several Formula One drivers, IndyCar, pretty much every top level of racing have gone through there. It's like a 5-week boot camp, pretty much. But yeah, doing that, getting to go over and do some testing in Europe. I think that everybody's been very pleased with the results of that. And on the business side, getting my real estate license at the end of 2022, I believe. So it's been a busy few years, but I think that it's all pretty necessary to keep that momentum going.
Right.
So some of the revenues that the company derives are from sponsorships. I know that's a big target for you all. Maybe tell us a little bit about that and how you think about getting these sponsors.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that sponsorships are kind of what run racing. When you watch a race on TV, you see logos everywhere from companies sponsoring the event, the teams, the drivers. And so I think we try to accompany or do sponsors for as many different organizations as we can. We try to be kind of an open book, because the last thing we want to do is set like a tier kind of program, and someone looks at it and says, oh well, I don't like this thing in this tier, so I'm not going to sponsor at all. So we try to be accommodating. We try to be fully custom. So if you want this and this, we can do that. We can find a way to do it. And that's kind of the approach we've taken since we started in 2021, because very quickly we figured out that not everybody wants these things and these kind of these boxes. So yeah, we try to do that. In terms of the kinds of companies, it's fairly broad. I think we've had real estate, we've had financial planning, so it's pretty broad in terms of the companies involved.
So we've thrown around a few different names, and I think let's just set out clearly what the different names are for the different things that we're talking about. We have RBS Motorsports, which is the company into which you're inviting investors to make investments, and through a structure that we can talk about more if necessary, Roland. But for now, this is everyone on notice. This is where you're making your investment, and RBS Motorsports is the company that engages in these sponsorship deals, and that's where the revenues come. And so this is the actual place where you're investing. Now, is it your brand or is it a separate associated entity that's Ryan Shehan Racing?
It's an associated entity.
Okay.
So yeah, same company, same everything. Just it rolls off the tongue a bit better.
No, for sure. I think it's of course important that you use your own full name. And then you also have a nonprofit, don't you?
Yeah, we have Sheehan Strong, which was actually a bit of a interesting story of how that came about. So my parent, even before it really got super serious with the racing, my parents, my dad has been involved with nonprofits in the past, and so they always wanted me, if I ever kind of made it to the big leagues or made a career out of this, they wanted me to give back. And so we didn't really do much of it early on. But in 2020, I had a pretty big crash while testing in Florida, a brake failure. I think life flighted, several days in the hospital. So not a good time, but yeah, that was, what came from that was something, hashtag Sheehan Strong, in support of me and my family in my recovery. So we took that after I recovered, and with permission, of course, we turned that into the nonprofit we have today, which we use to inspire youth, so schools, typically disadvantaged youth, whether it's economic, medical, something like that. So we do that to inspire youth to pursue their passions, because I was very lucky to find my passion when I was 8 years old. And so, I want to share my story and and tell them that if they find something that they're passionate about, it doesn't matter if they're in middle school, high school, any age, you can start to pursue that. And if you can make it work, then you can make a career out of that and live doing what you love.
Well, we want to make sure that everybody knows that you're available for speaking opportunities, and I couldn't imagine what it'd be like for a young kid to see you and hear about your story, and it's sort of a fantastical story, honestly, Ryan. I mean, it's wonderful that you're doing this, and I just you all are probably our most exciting client, honestly. And so for a kid to say, gosh, this guy's a race car driver, that's so cool, what could I be? And it sets such a high ceiling, and that's what we need to do to inspire young people, I think. So just make everybody aware that Ryan is available for speaking opportunities through Sheehan Strong, and we'll make sure that your contact information is in the show notes here for sure, so everybody can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Schools, hospitals, any kind of event with youth, we love to talk to the kids and to help inspire them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And so how does it work with a driver's license?
So you don't need one to race in most circumstances. You need a specific racing license, but there's not really like a test or anything like that. They pretty much base it off of either previous racing experience or going through a racing school if you have none. But since I did karting for 6 years, you kind of get the pass and get your competition license. But yeah, in karting, there's pretty much nothing. Obviously, if you're a train wreck, then they'll ask you to sit out. But yeah.
So when you went to get your actual official road driving license, you were probably like one of the few 16-year-olds that the driving instructor was happy to be in the safe hands of.
I hope so. I think they might have been a bit scared beforehand. I was very nervous getting my driver's license because I didn't want to speed. I didn't want to forget anything because it's so different that people always ask me, do you speed or do you drive crazy on the road? And I always tell them no, because it's like a whole different world.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble just like anybody else or in an accident.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Well, and then you've got to, maybe as an example, because I think it's the Nuremberg ring, right, that you have to get a special qualification on, and you just got that last year, from what I remember.
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
Is this what
year.
you're working on now? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's very prestigious. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that it's a crazy track. It's I think it's over 100 years old, I believe, and they haven't really changed much, which tells you a lot. So yeah, you need a specific license just to race on this one track, which is insane. But yeah, that's a goal for this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I used to watch a lot of Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah.
So he was always driving on that over there. Yeah. Okay. So then, just like your dad said, I think, the sports psychology, it's what's cool about seeing young athletes like yourself today that's different from maybe earlier when some of us were young athletes is that there's a lot more information, specialists, and people openly discuss the need for these different things. So it sounds like your parents were on top of the psychological aspect and that you got some access to good resources when you're really young. So I'd love to hear more about that journey for you.
Yeah, so it really came from one of my coaches in karting, a Frenchman who kind of saw me. Well, obviously he saw me on the race weekends, and he kind of realized that I was a bit too maybe data focused, a bit too not emotional enough, really. Trying to be more, I guess, left brain or whichever brain is the the kind of STEM side. And so he, had me talking to this sports psychologist who kind of helped open me up and get a bit more emotional and and put more heart into it instead of just focusing purely on the data or stuff like that. And so I think that helped me a lot with kind of balancing out my life and driving and that kind of stuff. And so I think that's been a big help. And I still kind of have to sometimes think about, okay, I just need to not overthink it, or not try to get everything perfect in one lap or something like that. So yeah, I think that's something that a lot of athletes maybe need to, if they don't already, then maybe consider is, might be overthinking, or you might be focusing too much on the numbers or something like that, which is pretty much what I would do. I'm what they would call a Thursday warrior, or I used to be what they would call a Thursday warrior, which was I was really good on Thursday practice, and then I would start to overthink things, and I would, just kind of slowly downward trend until the races on Sunday. And thankfully I've gotten over that in the past few years, thanks to JC, my sports psychologist, and now it's an upward curve after Thursday.
Well, those skills, Ryan, I mean, we hear so much about mindfulness nowadays, and the metacognition, being able to step back and sort of evaluating yourself. It's just going to serve you no matter what you do for the rest of your life. Hopefully you're going to have a long, successful career, racing, but, you never know what the future holds, but those skills that you're learning now are really going to serve you, in the future.
Well, Ryan,
Yeah,
why don't
absolutely.
you talk just for a second about the fact that you're going to be driver coaching as well this year?
Yeah, that's something that's a bit new. I've done it in small little tidbits in the past, but doing a full season of driver coaching for my former team, getting to kind of help out the next generation, the upcoming guys, it's always cool. It's a bit weird being at a racetrack when you're not driving, but yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I know some of the drivers from when I was driving, and they were in the levels below me. And so I think it'll be lots of fun to get to go to the races and coach and help these guys out.
That's cool. So let's get to what's your training regime?
Yeah, pretty much 5 days a week, and take weekends off. But yeah, it's pretty balanced. Not a lot of heavy lifting, pretty much just because you don't want to get too bulky, and not be able to, have good movement or fit in the car. So lots of cardio as well, because your heart rate is constantly high in the car. I think peak we get up to is close to 200.
Wow.
At the start of a race or a restart, it gets high. So, you want to be able to make sure that your blood's flowing properly. You have oxygen to your brain, all that kind of stuff. And so cardio is really important for a driver. You'll see Formula One drivers doing triathlons, so they're really top level athletes. But yeah,
I had heard that. Yeah.
Bit of weight training. We don't have power steering in the car, so it does get heavy. So strength training is important, cardio and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty general, but you just have to be fit to drive these cars. And I don't think a lot of people quite understand that until they either ride along with someone or get to drive something like a go-kart myself. In the past, we've put my trainer in a go-kart, and he was blown away at how physical it was. And so the workouts got a bit harder after that. So that was maybe for, I guess greater good in the long run, but I wasn't too appreciative of that at the time.
Yeah.
Got to do what's necessary to.
I guess you have your nutrition and everything as well that you have to pay attention to, huh? And enough sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nutrition. It's pretty much just the obvious stuff. Staying away from junk food. Eating good amounts of protein. Carbs. Sometimes on the race weekends we'll adjust a little bit if we're feeling low energy or that kind of stuff. But it's pretty much just trying to eat healthy, pretty well balanced, because you don't want to eat too much protein and then not enough of something else. So yeah, it's I don't follow a strict like vegan, keto or anything like that. It's just trying to have a healthy, well-balanced diet.
What about your driving training? Like, do you drive every day? And then I guess there's also there's the data processing and everything that you referenced. And then even physical maintenance, do you learn about taking care of the cars themselves?
Yeah, I think if I could drive every day, I would. But, you know, driving costs money and money isn't unlimited. So we don't get to do that every day. Depending on the season, it could be, you know, maybe once a month, or, you know, if it's a busy month, then we might not do any testing at all and just have, you know, only the racing. So it really depends on, you know, what you're racing, because obviously it's more expensive to test in, you know, faster, more expensive cars. So we do replace a lot of that with sim work. So a simulator. I have one at home right behind me. So I'll spend a lot of time on that. I do quite a lot of, you know, kind of endurance events on those. So I'll have a team of people who will do like a 24-hour, 12-hour race, which is good, you know, just for practice, but it's also a lot of fun. And at the end of the day, I like racing, I like driving. And so even if I'm not driving, you know, the cars that I'll be racing in real life, it's still just a lot of fun to do those events with people.
That's cool.
Well, you know, we're coming up on, we want to be cognizant of the time. And I think that, you know, we want to make people aware of the investment opportunity here. We're still offering safes. We haven't really talked a lot about safes on our podcast yet, but these are very similar to convertible debt instruments. It's a simple agreement for future equity. And they're used typically when a future financing round is envisioned. The safe instrument will convert into the same securities that are offered in the future equity round. But what is the total amount, the maximum amount that you would be seeking to raise in this current round?
The 1.5.
Yeah, so
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I think the total amount's 1.5 million. And that's kind of looking to, you know, set the company up for, you know, future years. Obviously you don't want to blow all of that in 1 year, because I think that's incredibly financially irresponsible to, you know, use it all at once. You know, it's like when your grandma gives you money and tells you not to spend it all in one place. So, yeah, I think for this year it's looking, you know, if everything goes right, I think 500 to 600 grand. And that's both, you know, the racing costs and also growing the business. Because like I said before, there's no, you know, racing without the business, and there's no business without the racing. So we have to make sure to take care of both of those. So yeah, I think it'll be probably 300 to 400 of that will go to the racing, you know, paying for a seat, you know, driver, you know, paying the trainer, paying for any testing or anything like that. And then around 150 to 200 to the business side to just help grow that and, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah,
so
I think that's
one thing I learned that was, you know, in talking with you all, is that you actually lease the vehicle. You don't buy your vehicle, right?
Yeah. So what we'll usually do, it's kind of like contracting a team. And that's, so we'll pay the team. They own the car, they'll maintain the car, they hire the personnel, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we don't own the car, we don't store the car, maintain the car. We don't have any, you know, mechanics, engineers, any of that. We purely are just the driver, and we do the marketing. And so we contract the team in whatever series we are. Because, I mean, at the point in my career, we're not going to spend enough time in one series to, you know, kind of make it worth buying a car for, you know, over 100 grand when, you know, it just doesn't make sense.
What's good for people to understand, you know, how use of proceeds is a real critical disclosure point. And you've got this broken down and roughly, like you said, 70% for the arrive and drive, and then 30% scaling the business. operations to grow your sponsors, partners, fan solutions through both U.S. and relationships globally.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I think the breakdown that makes the most sense to us. Obviously, we don't want to spend too much money on the racing and then not be able to grow the business. And obviously don't want to spend too much on the business and then not be able to go racing. So I think that was kind of the number that made sense to us, that 70-30 split.
Yeah. The other thing
Makes
is
sense.
I want to make sure that, because obviously there's a delta between the 5 or 600 and the 1.5, we don't want to have to come back right away. One of the things that with our manager, Nick Johnson, is we could put Ryan literally in any number of series around the world right now. And the numbers we're looking at are series in Europe that can lead very directly to the highest levels of racing. Even becoming a factory driver is ultimately one of the goals. Whether it's open wheel in Formula One, IndyCar, whether it's closed wheel in prototypes or in GT series, we have the ability to put Ryan just about anywhere that we want to. It is literally driven by money. We already know he has the talent, and that's not a dad thing. That is something that because we took the time and effort last year and the money to have him test and race in Europe. We've been asked by teams in Europe to say, hey, what do we need to do to have Ryan here? And that's why we are now at the point where Ryan has done what he needed to do to successfully in the junior racing series. In terms that most Americans would understand, he's the AAA pitcher that now teams want to bring into the Major League Baseball, right? He has the talent. Everyone sees it. Now it's a matter of getting him out there and putting him in any number of series in Europe, Asia, U.S., etc. And we've built the company around that, so we can provide value and ROI back to our partners, sponsors, investors, and that's the goal, is that we do provide that business value back to them. We feel like we can do that through any number of different ways. We've got some amazing partnerships in place, and we've got a business team that, like we said earlier, is honestly, we've done it the inverse way. We've built it, and now we're ready to put Ryan on the international stage. We didn't wait for Ryan to become famous to build it after the fact. So we can give folks, I think, a really amazing entry point into motorsports marketing, and provide value and ROI back to them at a cost that's going to be pretty amazing, and they can ride the ride with Ryan up to the top levels.
Well, sir, let's hit this special offer that we have for investors who will invest at least $250,000.
Yeah, I mean, the offer that we have is bringing them to the track, giving them kind of a VIP experience at a race, or honestly even races if they want to come to the whole calendar or just one. They can do whatever they fancy depending on their schedule. But yeah, I think you don't really understand how exciting it is until you're actually there, and especially when you're kind of behind the scenes in the paddock with the team, with the drivers. It's everybody who we've had, or anybody who other drivers in our area have had, their minds are blown at how incredible it is to see. Sometimes I'm still in awe whenever I walk into a paddock and just kind of see everything. It's an experience that you can't really describe until you see it. And whenever we pitch someone like, why would I want to come to the race, or why would I want to bring a client to the racetrack, and we always tell them it's a lot more exciting and a bit more unique than golf. So that's what we like to say.
Oh, I can agree 100% with that.
Ryan, I don't know if you know, but I lived in Dubai for a long time. And of course, Abu Dhabi has the pinnacle race, right? And so it's, everybody gets excited at race time, because if you're lucky to get the VIP tickets that take you back behind the scenes and you get to meet different people that are there, and, it's a huge party day, or you get an invite onto somebody's yacht to watch, from the nighttime shows, and the headlining musicians are there, So it's a whole thing with the whole country, and the United Arab Emirates is caught up in this weekend. That's the Formula 1.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how it is in every, city, and even some countries, when Formula 1 rolls into town. I know in Austin, at least, it's, everything basically just becomes Formula 1. If you're not going to the race, then you're probably not going downtown for, after the Wednesday and then maybe through the Monday or Tuesday of the next week. So it really takes over the whole area.
Yeah, that's good. It kind of is almost like a community event, except that, of course, the tickets, I'm sure, are very expensive. But but no, I don't know. I mean, it's also interesting because I think generally motorsports raises people's awareness about cars in general too. And of course, that's different from when I was young. Let's say that cars were cars and utilitarian more than anything. Now it's a lot of it. It's a different thing. So
yeah.
It's a cool industry.
You guys have listed out here some of the specific strategies for the marketing solutions, and just wanted to give you a chance to talk about these, obviously, because these are where you're going to generate revenue from.
Right. Ryan, do you want to talk through some of the bullets there? I think, for example, one of the relationships we just put together with Steering Wheel Nation and Magic and some of the others there. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we have a lot of different ways to promote potential sponsor. There's the social media side. There is at the track activations, which is like the VIP access that we just spoke about. I'm doing a segment on a TV show, which is new for this year, and that's still looking for a partner or sponsor. And so I think that's another really exciting opportunity for our sponsors and a potential sponsor. So I think there's a lot of different ways. There's the kind of B2C, which is more of the TV, social media, and then there's the B2B, where you can bring a client to the racetrack and give them a really unique experience.
Well, and there's just the networking too, of course. And that's one of the biggest things why IndyCar and IMSA is one of the biggest reasons that companies spend the money they do. Well, that's the B2C. But what you don't see is during that week is all the C-suite executives and owners of the companies are in the paddock talking to each other, building business relationships. And that is a huge opportunity for some of, so, you see the big stickers on the cars, but all the little stickers on the cars, those folks, are the ones, a lot of those, relationships are being built. The B2B networking opportunities, the activation, et cetera, are things that are happening, maybe not on race day, but during the week. Is really, really, really critical to those sponsors. And then, Ryan doesn't, play it as important as it is, but he's got a recurring segment on a weekly show. Now his segments will probably be monthly, with Tom Baker on the Tom Baker Show on PowerTube TV. PowerTube TV is a motorsports focused brand, and that has millions of viewers, a streaming channel. And so those, we have lots of opportunities to be able to have sponsors come in at really attractive rates. We can give them the demographics for the PowerTube and the shows, and there's a lot of exposure, through that. And again, Magic is another opportunity. This is a solution out there that is being built that started in the music industry. We have access to millions of their affinity groups that are building out their solutions for. So if someone has, wants to be able to access, for example, 5 to 6 million motorsports fans, we have the ability to do that. So again, lots of ways to do activation. We have merchandise opportunities, and then the Sheehan Strong piece that goes with it. So we can help with folks that want to get involved in the community through Ryan. It's not just one size fits all. We can build a true custom engagement package for folks.
Well, it's great. I was just really impressed when I was reviewing all your materials, when we worked on your offering documents. You all have advanced, marketing concepts and have done a lot with that. So I think anybody that kind of starts to scratch the surface of Ryan Shehan Racing, they'll see how involved you are in all these things that you mentioned, and it just gives me greater confidence as an investor that you all are really, beating all the bushes, so to speak.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, they don't think there are many folks out there that can say that for the last 2 years, they can say they have a fractional CMO. They have a sales team that we've contracted with. When you look at it, back to the balance that Ryan was seeking, we've done that on both the racing and the business side. We didn't go out and hire a bunch of people, but we went out and found contract people that were really, really good at what they do and have helped us build the business to the point where we can deliver services. And we've been told this, 3 to 5 years ahead of where most people are at in this business. So, we can deliver something that a lot of people can't right now at a price point that's probably not achievable very many other places in motorsports.
Hey, well, I don't want to cut you off, but we're nearing the hour mark. So anything else that we want to make sure that we share, get out to our audience?
I mean, I think just, if you hear something you're interested in, ryan.shehanracing.com or ryan.shehan at ryan.shehan.com if you want to reach out directly. Just take a look at what we have, and don't be scared to reach out.
Well, I know that this has been a really exciting episode for both Sarah and me. We get to feature a law firm client that is involved in a really exciting business, much more exciting than commercial real estate. And we talk.
That'll have its time and place.
That's right.
He already has his real estate license after all.
Yeah. And there are big real estate companies out there that need to sponsor motorsports racing teams.
Should create a correlation. Listen, Ryan, it's been lovely speaking with you today. I wish you every success, and I'm glad that we're here to support you in every way that we can. It's wonderful to see someone of your age, not to make it about age, but so well-spoken and confident about what you're presenting. And I really look forward to seeing where you go with this. So
thank you, guys.
I'm glad that we've been able to support you here today.
I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for having us on.
Yeah, thank you.
So thanks everyone for joining us today on Alt Investing Made Easy. Please like and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this episode or any of our other content. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
And remember, everyone, take aim with your alternative investing strategies.
See you next time.